My grandma passed away, now I'm getting kicked out of my family's house. My brother Caleb barged into the kitchen while I was making coffee and announced he saw me wearing my grandma's super old diamond necklace at Rachel Winter's party last weekend. You took it, he said, pointing at me like he'd caught me red-handed. I saw you showing it off to your friends. I hadn't been to any party. I'd worked a double shift at the diner that night and passed out on my friend's couch afterward. What are you talking about? I set down my mug. I wasn't even there. My mom came rushing in from the living room, her face already twisted in panic. Where is it? Where's the necklace? I don't know what he's talking about. I looked between them. I haven't seen it since the funeral. Caleb crossed his arms. Don't lie. You were wearing it. Justin saw you too. My dad appeared in the doorway and the look on his face made my stomach drop. He already believed it. They all did. This is insane, I said. I didn't take anything. My mom opened the jewelry box on the counter and dumped it out. Empty. She turned to me with tears streaming down her face. How could you? Your grandmother wanted this to stay with us. I didn't touch it. My voice cracked. Why would I even go to that party? I was working. My dad stepped closer. Caleb wouldn't lie about this. The certainty in his voice hit harder than any accusation. My own father had already decided I was guilty before I could even explain. My mom was sobbing now, clutching the empty box like it might bring the necklace back. Pack your things, my dad said. I want you out tonight. You're kicking me out? I stared at him. Over something I didn't do? You stole from this family? His jaw was set. I'm not discussing it. My mom wouldn't even look at me. She just kept crying into her hands while Caleb stood there watching, his face carefully arranged into concern. But I saw something else underneath it. Satisfaction. Mom, please, I tried. You know me. I would never— Just go, she whispered. I can't even look at you right now. I went upstairs in a daze and started throwing clothes into my duffel bag. My hands moved on autopilot while my brain tried to process what just happened. Caleb had lied. He'd looked our parents in the eye and lied, and they believed him without question. I grabbed my laptop, charger, and the framed photo of my grandmother from my nightstand. 20 minutes after Caleb's accusation, I was standing on the front porch with everything I owned in one bag. My dad locked the door behind me without saying goodbye. I called my friend Becca from my car, trying not to cry. She said I could crash at her apartment, no questions asked. I drove there with the radio off, replaying every word, every look on their faces. Caleb had destroyed my life in under 5 minutes, and I had no idea why. I thought about my grandmother's necklace, the one she wore every day, the one she said reminded her of my grandfather. My mom cried when the lawyer read the will and left it to her. She'd held it like it was made of glass. Now it was gone, and I was the scapegoat. I pulled into Becca's parking lot and sat there for 10 minutes before I could make myself get out. The apartment was dark except for one window. She'd waited up for me. When I knocked, she opened the door immediately and pulled me inside. What happened? I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, her expression getting darker with every sentence. That's insane, she said when I finished. You were literally here that night. I can tell them. They won't believe you. I dropped my bag on her couch. They already made up their minds. She made up the couch with blankets and pillows while I sat there staring at nothing. My phone buzzed 3 times. Texts from my aunt asking what I'd done. Messages from cousins I barely talked to saying they were disappointed in me. The story was already spreading. Caleb had made sure of that. By morning, my Aunt Diane was calling. I let it go to voicemail and listened to her lecture about family loyalty and how disappointed my grandmother would be. She didn't ask for my side. Nobody did. Becca made coffee while I scrolled through my phone. 12 missed calls, 23 texts. My cousin Jennifer sent a long message about how stealing from family was the lowest thing someone could do. My Uncle Rich said he expected better from me. They're all talking about it, I said. Becca looked over my shoulder at the screen. Did Caleb tell everyone already? He must have. I opened a group chat with my cousins and saw Caleb's message from last night, sent an hour after I left. He'd written that he tried to protect me but couldn't lie for me anymore. He said he was heartbroken but had to do the right thing. He's unbelievable, Becca said. He's acting like the victim. I called my mom, hoping she'd calm down enough to listen. She answered on the first ring. Did you sell it? Her voice was flat. Just tell me the truth. I didn't take it. I already told you. Your brother saw you wearing it. He's lying. I said it slowly, clearly. I was working that night. I was here with Becca. Why would he lie about that? I don't know, but he is. She went quiet for a moment, then said Caleb had no reason to make it up. She said he'd always looked out for the family, and this was breaking his heart. She hung up before I could respond. I tried calling my dad next. He didn't answer. Becca drove me to work that afternoon because my manager had already texted asking if everything was okay. Apparently, my cousin had come in for lunch and mentioned the situation to one of the other servers. By the time I walked through the door, 3 coworkers knew. My manager, Pat, pulled me aside before my shift. Is it true? About the necklace? No. I tied my apron. It's not. She nodded but didn't look convinced. Just keep your head down today, okay? The dinner rush was torture. One of the regulars who knew my family asked how my mom was doing, then got quiet when I said I didn't know. Another customer, someone I went to high school with, stared at me the whole time I took her order, then left without tipping. When I got back to Becca's apartment, I found a voicemail from my mom's best friend, Donna. She said my mom was devastated and that I needed to make this right, whatever it took. She said my grandmother was probably rolling over in her grave. I deleted it. Caleb posted on social media that night. He didn't mention me by name, but the message was clear. He wrote about how hard it was to watch someone you love make bad choices and how family meant everything to him. The comments filled up fast. People saying they were proud of him for standing up for what was right, others offering sympathy for what he was going through. My phone buzzed with a text from him. I'm sorry it had to come to this. I hope you get the help you need. I stared at it for a full minute before I realized what he was doing. He wasn't just telling people I stole the necklace. He was making himself look like the caring brother who tried to save me. Every word he said made me look worse. I tried texting back to call him out, but Becca grabbed my phone. Don't. That's what he wants. Everyone thinks I did it. Then we prove you didn't. I pulled up my work schedule from that weekend and took a screenshot. It showed I'd worked a double shift the night of the party. I sent it to my mom with a message explaining I couldn't have been there. She read it immediately but didn't respond. The next day, my younger cousin Ivy called. She was 16 and usually stayed out of family drama, so I answered. Is it true? She asked. No, Caleb's lying. Why would he do that? I don't know. I sat down on Becca's couch. But I didn't take anything. She went quiet, then said she believed me. It was the first time anyone had said that since this started. She also said my mom had been crying for 2 days straight and my dad hadn't spoken to Caleb much either. Wait, why not? I asked. I don't know. He just seems mad at everyone right now. After we hung up, I let myself hope for half a second that maybe my dad was starting to question the story. Then my phone buzzed again. Another text from a relative saying they were praying for me to find my way back to honesty. I blocked the number. Becca came home from class and found me on the couch surrounded by blankets. You okay? Everyone in my family thinks I'm a thief. I pulled the blanket tighter. And Caleb's out there playing the good son. We'll figure it out. She sat down next to me. But you need to eat something first. I wasn't hungry, but she ordered takeout anyway. While we waited for the food, I scrolled through Caleb's social media again. He'd posted another update thanking everyone for their support during this difficult time. Someone in the comments asked if I was okay, and Caleb replied that he was giving me space to reflect. Reflect. Like I was the one who needed to think about what I'd done. The food arrived, and Becca forced me to eat at least half of it. Then my phone rang again. This time it was my mom's sister, Aunt Renee. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Your mother is a mess, she said. You need to fix this. I didn't do anything. That's not what Caleb says. Caleb is lying. She sighed like I was exhausting her. Why would your brother lie about something like this? I don't know. My voice came out louder than I meant it to. But I didn't steal the necklace. You need to apologize and give it back. That's the only way this gets better. I can't give back something I don't have. She hung up. Becca looked at me from across the room. This is insane. They all believe him. I set my phone down. It doesn't matter what I say. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the moment Caleb walked into the kitchen and accused me, the certainty in his voice, the way he didn't hesitate. He'd known exactly what he was doing, and he'd known they'd believe him. I wanted to scream at all of them, to make them see the truth, but every time I tried, I just sounded desperate. 3 days later, Caleb texted me again. Hey, I know things are rough right now. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here. I stared at the message for a long time. He was pretending to be the concerned brother while the entire family thought I was a thief. I typed out a response calling him a liar, then deleted it. Becca was right. Engaging with him would only make things worse. He texted again an hour later. Mom's really struggling. I think it would help if you reached out to her. I blocked his number. That weekend, my mom called from my dad's phone. I almost didn't answer, but I picked up at the last second. Caleb says you're not responding to him, she said. I don't want to talk to him. He's trying to help. Her voice was tired. He feels terrible about all of this. He should feel terrible. He's the one who lied. She went quiet, then said Caleb had been crying at dinner the night before. He told her he wished he'd never said anything, that he was worried about me and didn't know what to do. She said he'd asked if there was a way to fix things between us. He's manipulating you, I said. He's your brother. She sounded frustrated now. He loves you. If he loved me, he wouldn't have accused me of stealing. He saw what he saw. I hung up. Caleb posted another update that night. He wrote about forgiveness and second chances, about how family meant loving people even when they made mistakes. The comment section filled up with people praising him for his grace and maturity. Someone wrote that I was lucky to have such a kind brother. My cousin Jennifer shared the post with a caption about how hard it was to watch someone spiral. She didn't tag me, but everyone knew who she meant. I showed Becca the screen. He's making this worse on purpose. Block all of them, she said. You don't need to see that. But I couldn't stop looking. Every post, every comment, every shared update felt like another person choosing his story over mine. My Uncle Rich commented that Caleb was handling the situation with remarkable strength. Aunt Diane said she was praying for our whole family. Nobody was praying for me. I tried reaching out to my dad directly through email since he wasn't answering my calls. I wrote 3 paragraphs explaining what really happened, attaching my work schedule again, and asking him to just listen. He responded 2 days later with one sentence. I think you need to take responsibility for your actions. I didn't email back. Work got harder. My coworker Stephanie started acting distant, and I overheard her telling another server that she'd heard about my situation. Pat, my manager, pulled me aside again and said several customers had mentioned they felt uncomfortable being served by me. I didn't do anything wrong, I said. I'm not saying you did. She adjusted her glasses. But perception matters in this job. So you're firing me? No, I'm just saying keep your head down and let this blow over. I went back to my tables, but the damage was done. One of my regulars asked for a different server. Another left halfway through her meal. Caleb sent me a message through social media since I'd blocked his number. I heard you're having a hard time at work. I'm sorry about that. If you need help finding something new, let me know. He knew. He knew exactly what was happening to me, and he was offering to help like he wasn't the one who caused it. I reported the message and blocked him there too. My mom started calling every few days, always with the same conversation. She'd ask if I was ready to apologize, and I'd say I had nothing to apologize for. She'd mention how much Caleb missed me, and I'd remind her that he was lying. Then she'd get frustrated and hang up. After the 5th call, I stopped answering. Becca found me crying in the bathroom one night after a particularly brutal shift. She didn't say anything, just sat down next to me on the floor and waited. Everyone thinks I did it, I finally said. Even the people who don't know me. We'll figure it out. How? Caleb's never going to admit he lied. She didn't have an answer for that. My cousin Ivy texted me a few days later saying my mom had been talking about selling the house. She said my parents were fighting all the time now, and my dad barely spoke at dinner. She asked if I thought I could just come home and make things right, even if I had to lie about taking the necklace. I told her I wasn't going to confess to something I didn't do. She said she understood but that everyone was miserable. I wanted to tell her that I was miserable too, that I'd lost my entire family over a lie, but I just said I had to go. Caleb updated his social media again. This time he posted a photo of himself and my mom at dinner, both of them smiling. The caption talked about cherishing the family you still have and finding joy in difficult times. My mom looked happy in the picture, happier than she'd been in weeks. The post got over 200 likes. I threw my phone across the room. Becca picked it up and checked the screen. It's not cracked. I don't care if it is. She sat down next to me. You can't let him win. He already won. I put my head in my hands. Everyone believes him. My parents, my family, people I don't even know. I could show them a video of me not taking the necklace and they'd still think I did it. Then stop trying to convince them. She set my phone on the table. Focus on yourself. Get through work, save money, figure out your next move, and just let him get away with it? For now, she looked at me. Because fighting him right now is only hurting you. She was right, but that didn't make it easier. I went to work the next day and kept my head down like Pat had said. I smiled at customers, took orders, and didn't mention my family to anyone. One of my tables left a decent tip with a note that said, "Hang in there." I didn't know if they knew about the necklace or if they were just being nice, but I kept the note anyway. My phone buzzed during my break. Another text from my mom. She said Caleb wanted to meet for coffee to talk things through. She said it would mean a lot to him if I'd just give him a chance to explain. Explain what? How he destroyed my life? I didn't respond. That night, I lay awake in Becca's guest room staring at the ceiling. I kept thinking about the necklace, about where it actually was and what Caleb had done with it. He'd been so confident when he accused me, like he'd planned the whole thing. And maybe he had. I thought about my grandmother and how she'd saved for years to buy that necklace. My grandfather had given it to her on their 30th anniversary. She'd worn it every day until she got too sick to put it on herself. When she died, my mom cried holding it, saying it was the only thing she had left of her. Now it was gone and I was the one paying for it. I decided to go home one more time to get the rest of my things. Becca offered to come with me, but I told her I'd be fine. I just needed to grab my winter clothes and some books I'd left in my room. I showed up on a Tuesday afternoon when I knew my dad would be at work. My mom's car was in the driveway, but I planned to be in and out before she even knew I was there. I let myself in through the side door and headed straight upstairs. My room looked exactly the same. Bed made, posters still on the walls, like I just left for the weekend instead of being kicked out. I was pulling clothes out of my closet when I heard footsteps on the stairs. "What are you doing here?" My mom stood in the doorway, arms crossed. "Getting my stuff." I didn't look at her. "I'll be gone in 10 minutes. You can't just walk in here whenever you want. It's still my house." I shoved a sweater into my bag. Or it was, until you kicked me out. She stepped into the room. "We didn't kick you out. We asked you to take responsibility for something I didn't do. Caleb saw you." Caleb lied. I turned to face her. "Why is that so hard for you to believe?" "Because he has no reason to lie." Her voice was sharp. "You're the one who needed money. You're the one who was always asking for help with rent. That stopped me." "What? Don't pretend you weren't struggling." She looked at me like I was a stranger. "We know you've been barely getting by. It makes sense that you'd take something valuable. I asked you for money once, one time, and that was months ago. Caleb said you asked him too." I stared at her. "I never asked Caleb for anything. He said you came to him crying about your bills, and when he couldn't help, you got angry." "That never happened." My voice was louder now. "He's making that up." "Why would he make that up?" She shook her head. "You're so desperate to be right that you're willing to destroy your own brother." "He already destroyed me." I threw the sweater down. "He told everyone I'm a thief. I lost my family. My coworkers treat me like garbage. People cross the street when they see me coming. And he's sitting at home playing the victim." My mom's expression didn't change. "Maybe if you told the truth, people would stop treating you that way." I grabbed my bag and pushed past her. She called after me, saying we weren't done talking, but I was already down the stairs and out the door. My dad's car pulled into the driveway just as I reached mine. He got out and blocked my path. "Your mother called me," he said. "Said you showed up unannounced." "I was getting my things." "You need to stop this." He crossed his arms. "Stop lying, stop blaming your brother, and start acting like an adult." "I am acting like an adult." I walked toward my car. "I'm the only one telling the truth." "The truth?" He followed me. "The truth is you stole from this family, and instead of owning it, you're making everyone else miserable." I unlocked my car and threw my bag in the back seat. "Believe whatever you want." "I want to believe my daughter." His voice cracked. "But you're making it impossible." I got in the car and slammed the door. He stood there watching as I reversed out of the driveway, his expression somewhere between anger and exhaustion. I made it 2 blocks before I had to pull over because my hands wouldn't stop shaking. When I got back to Becca's apartment, I found her on the couch with her laptop. She took one look at my face and closed it. "What happened?" "My mom says I asked Caleb for money and got mad when he said no." I dropped onto the couch next to her. "That's why they think I took the necklace. He's been building this whole story about me being desperate. That's insane. My dad says I'm making everyone miserable." I stared at the ceiling, like I'm the problem. Becca didn't respond right away. Then she said, "Are you sure you want to keep trying with them? They're my family. They don't act like it." She was right, but I didn't want to admit it. My phone buzzed. Another text from Aunt Renee. She said my mom was upset after my visit and that I needed to apologize for barging in. She said Caleb had been nothing but supportive and I was tearing the family apart. I deleted the message without responding. That night, Caleb posted another update. He wrote about how painful it was to watch someone you love refuse help and how sometimes the kindest thing you can do is step back. The comments were full of people telling him he was doing the right thing, that he couldn't save someone who didn't want to be saved. My cousin Jennifer shared it again with a long caption about enabling destructive behavior. She tagged my mom. I showed Becca. "He's telling everyone I'm self-destructing. Let him." She handed my phone back. "You know the truth. The truth doesn't matter if no one believes it." Over the next few weeks, I stopped trying to defend myself. When relatives called, I didn't answer. When people at work asked about my family, I said everything was fine. I put my head down and pretended nothing was wrong, because every time I tried to explain, it only got worse. My mom left voicemails saying she was worried about me. She said Caleb had mentioned I looked tired the last time he saw me, and that if I was struggling, I should reach out. She didn't mention that the last time Caleb saw me was when he accused me of theft. My dad sent an email saying the house felt empty without me. He said if I just apologized and returned the necklace, we could move forward as a family. He ended with, "We love you, but we can't help someone who won't help themselves." I didn't reply. Becca started leaving articles about gaslighting on the kitchen table. She didn't say anything about them, but the message was clear. One night, after I'd had a particularly rough shift, she sat down across from me and said, "You know, none of this is your fault. fault, right? Doesn't feel that way. That's because they're making you feel crazy. She leaned forward. That's what people like Caleb do. They lie so confidently that you start doubting yourself. I'm not doubting myself. Aren't you? She looked at me. Because it seems like you're starting to believe them. I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. Some part of me had started wondering if maybe I was remembering things wrong. If maybe I had taken the necklace and just didn't remember. The constant accusations had started to feel like truth. I didn't take it, I said, more to remind myself than to convince her. I know. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. But you need to know it too. A few days later, my cousin Ivy called again. She said my parents had been fighting more, and my dad had started sleeping in the guest room. She said my mom cried every night, and Caleb had been spending a lot of time away from the house. Where's he going? I asked. I don't know. He just says he needs space. After we hung up, I sat there thinking about Caleb's sudden need for space. He'd spent weeks playing the perfect son, and now he was disappearing. That felt wrong. My phone buzzed with a notification. Caleb had posted a photo of himself at some restaurant downtown, smiling at the camera. The caption said something about treating yourself after a hard week. The location tag showed a place I knew was expensive. I stared at the photo for a long time. My brother, who supposedly felt terrible about our family falling apart, was out enjoying himself at a place that cost more than I made in a week. I screenshotted it and sent it to Becca with one word. Interesting. She called immediately. What are you thinking? I don't know yet. I looked at the photo again. But something's not adding up. Be careful. Her voice was serious. If you're going to look into this, be smart about it. I told her I would, but I wasn't sure what looking into it even meant. Caleb had everyone convinced I was guilty, and I had no proof otherwise. The necklace was gone, and I had no idea where to start. But for the first time since this started, I felt like maybe there was something I could do besides just accept everyone's judgment. I went back through Caleb's social media, scrolling past all the posts about family and forgiveness. 3 weeks before the necklace went missing, he'd posted about some unexpected expenses coming up. 2 weeks before, he'd shared an article about investing in luxury items. It wasn't proof, but it was a pattern. I took screenshots of everything and saved them in a folder. I didn't know what I'd do with them yet, but at least I was doing something. 2 months passed. I stopped checking Caleb's social media and stopped answering calls from family. Work stabilized. Pat stopped pulling me aside, and most of the customers who'd been weird about me had moved on to other drama. Becca said I seemed lighter, less weighed down. Then my mom called from a number I didn't recognize. We need to talk, she said when I answered. About what? Your father and I are selling the house. Her voice was flat. We wanted to let you know before you heard it from someone else. Why are you selling? We need a fresh start. She paused. Too many bad memories. I almost laughed. Bad memories of me, you mean? That's not what I said, but it's what you meant. I sat down on Becca's couch. Where's Caleb going to live? He's getting his own place. He found a good deal on a condo downtown. A condo downtown. Those weren't cheap. How's he affording that? He's been saving. She sounded defensive. He's always been good with money. I thought about the expensive restaurant photos and the posts about unexpected expenses. Right, good with money. I didn't call to argue. She sighed. I called because you have some boxes in the attic, and if you want them, you need to come get them before we start packing. When? This weekend? Saturday morning. Your father will be at a work thing, and Caleb's going to be out, so it'll just be me. I told her I'd think about it and hung up. Becca came out of her room. What was that about? They're selling the house. I stared at my phone. And Caleb's buying a condo. With what money? That's what I want to know. Saturday morning, I drove to my parents' house. My mom's car was the only one in the driveway, just like she'd said. I parked on the street and sat there for a minute, trying to decide if this was a good idea. I went in through the front door this time. My mom was in the living room sorting through photo albums. The boxes are upstairs, she said without looking up. Third door on the left. I went up to the attic and found 3 boxes with my name on them. Old textbooks, some clothes I'd forgotten about, a few picture frames. I carried them down one at a time, and on my third trip, I heard Caleb's voice downstairs. He wasn't supposed to be here. I set the box down quietly and moved to the top of the stairs where I could hear them. I thought you were going out, my mom said. Change of plans. Caleb's voice was casual. I need to grab something from the garage. Your sister's here picking up boxes. I know, I saw her car. I waited for him to say something else, but there was just silence. Then I heard the side door open and close. He'd gone to the garage. I went back to the attic, grabbed the last box, and headed downstairs. My mom was still in the living room, but now she was watching me. Did you find everything? Yeah, I adjusted my grip on the box. Thanks for letting me know. I walked past her toward the front door, but she called after me. He's your brother. Her voice cracked. I don't know why you can't just forgive him. I turned around. Forgive him for what? For lying about me? For ruining my life? He didn't ruin your life. She stood up. You did that yourself when you took the necklace. I didn't take it. I said it slowly, clearly. How many times do I have to say it? Until you stop lying. She crossed her arms. Caleb wouldn't make something like this up. He has no reason to. He has every reason to. I set the box down. He needed money and he found a way to get it. That's ridiculous. Is it? I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots I'd saved. 3 weeks before the necklace went missing, he posted about unexpected expenses. 2 weeks before, he was looking at investment articles about luxury items. Now he's buying a condo downtown on a salary that barely covers rent. She glanced at the phone but didn't reach for it. That doesn't prove anything. It proves he needed money. I put the phone away. And now he suddenly has it. He's been saving... For how long? I picked up the box again. How long has he been saving to afford a downtown condo? She didn't answer. I headed for the door, but before I could leave, I heard something from the garage. Voices. Caleb's and someone else's. I set the box down again and moved closer to the side door. My mom started to say something, but I held up a hand to stop her. Caleb was laughing. Yeah, man, I got 16 grand for it. Can you believe that? Mom's necklace just sitting there, and nobody even noticed it was gone until I made sure they did. My whole body went still. The other voice, someone I didn't recognize, said something I couldn't make out. Caleb laughed again. No one ever found out it was me. I made sure of that. Pinned it on my sister, and everyone bought it. Easiest money I ever made. I looked at my mom. Her face had gone pale. Did you hear that? I whispered. She didn't move. She just stood there, staring at the door like she couldn't process what she'd heard. Caleb was still talking. I mean, she made it easy. Always struggling with money, always asking for help. All I had to do was say I saw her wearing it, and boom, everyone believed me. The other voice said something else, and Caleb responded, I don't feel bad about it. She'll be fine. And I needed the money more than Mom needed some old necklace. My mom finally moved. She walked to the side door and opened it. Caleb was standing in the garage with his friend, both of them holding beers. When he saw my mom, his smile disappeared. Mom, get out. Her voice was quiet but sharp. What? Get out of my house. She stepped into the garage. Right now. Caleb looked between us, his expression shifting from confusion to panic. What's going on? I heard you. She pointed at him. I heard what you just said. His face went white. I was joking. You weren't joking. I stepped into the doorway. You sold Grandma's necklace and blamed me for it. That's not. He looked at his friend who was already backing toward the driveway. I didn't mean $16,000. My mom's hands were shaking. You sold my mother's necklace for $16,000. Mom, listen. And you let me think it was her. She pointed at me. You let me kick my daughter out of this house. You let this family fall apart, and you did it for money. Caleb's friend mumbled something about needing to leave and disappeared out the garage door. Caleb took a step toward my mom. I can explain. Don't. She held up a hand. Don't say another word. He looked at me, and for the first time since this started, I saw fear in his eyes. I'm sorry. Get out, my mom said again. Pack your things and get out. I don't want to see you. You don't mean that. I mean every word. She turned and walked back into the house. Caleb stood there, mouth open, looking like he'd just been slapped. Then he looked at me. This is your fault, he said. I almost laughed. My fault? If you'd just kept your mouth shut? I didn't say anything. I picked up my box. You did this to yourself. I walked out of the garage and through the house, where my mom was sitting on the couch with her head in her hands. I set the box down next to her. Are you okay? She didn't look up. I kicked you out. I called you a liar. I chose him over you. You didn't know. I should have. She finally looked at me and her eyes were red. I'm your mother. I should have known. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just stood there. She wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know. I sat down next to her. But you need to call Dad. He needs to hear this. She nodded and pulled out her phone. My mom called my dad, and I listened to her try to explain what had just happened. Her voice kept breaking, and she had to start over twice before she got through the whole story. When she finished, there was a long silence on the other end. He's lying, my dad finally said, loud enough that I could hear him through the phone. Caleb wouldn't do that. I heard him. My mom's voice was firm now. We both heard him. He was in the garage bragging about it. That doesn't make sense. He sold my mother's necklace for $16,000 and blamed our daughter. She was crying again. I kicked her out. I called her a thief, and she was innocent this whole time. The line went quiet again. Then my dad said he was coming home. My mom hung up and looked at me. He'll be here in 20 minutes. I nodded but didn't move from the couch. Through the window, I could see Caleb still standing in the driveway, pacing back and forth with his phone pressed to his ear. Who's he calling? My mom asked, probably trying to figure out damage control. She stood up and walked to the window. I don't even know who he is anymore. He's the same person he's always been. I joined her at the window. You just didn't see it until now. Caleb looked up and saw us watching. He ended his call and started walking toward the house. My mom stepped back from the window. I don't want to talk to him. You're going to have to. The front door opened and Caleb came in. His face was red and he was breathing hard like he'd been running. Mom, please, he said. Let me explain. There's nothing to explain. She crossed her arms. I heard you. You sold the necklace. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. How did you mean for it to happen? I stepped forward. You blamed me. You told everyone I stole it. You destroyed my life. I panicked. He ran his hands through his hair. I needed the money and I didn't think anyone would notice it was gone. But then Mom started asking about it and I said the first thing I could think of. You said you saw me wearing it. My voice was level. You looked her in the eye and lied. I'm sorry. You're not sorry. My mom's voice cut through the room. You're sorry you got caught. Caleb looked between us, his mouth opening and closing like he couldn't find the right words. Then he turned to me. You should have just stayed quiet. You should have moved on. Moved on? I stared at him. You ruined my reputation. My family disowned me. I lost everything because of you. You would have been fine. I wasn't fine. My voice got louder. I've spent months trying to prove I didn't do something you did. Every single person in this family chose you over me because I'm easier to believe. He said it quietly, like he was admitting something he'd known all along. You were always the one struggling, always asking for help. It made sense that you'd take it. My mom made a sound like she'd been hit. That's why you made up the story about her asking you for money. Caleb didn't answer. You set her up. My mom stepped closer to him. You planned this. I didn't plan it. You did. I pulled out my phone and showed him the screenshots I'd saved. You posted about unexpected expenses 3 weeks before the necklace went missing. You were researching how to sell luxury items. You knew exactly what you were doing. He glanced at the screen and looked away. That doesn't prove anything. It proves you needed money. I put my phone away. And it proves you were willing to destroy me to get it. The front door opened again, and my dad walked in. He looked at all of us, then focused on Caleb. Tell me it's not true, he said. Caleb opened his mouth, then closed it again. Tell me you didn't sell your grandmother's necklace and blame your sister. Dad, tell me. My dad's voice echoed through the house. I needed the money. Caleb's voice was barely a whisper. I had debts. I was going to lose everything. My dad stood there for a long moment, then sat down on the arm of the couch like his legs wouldn't hold him anymore. What debts? It doesn't matter. What debts? My dad repeated. Caleb looked at the floor. Gambling. I owed some people money and they weren't going to wait. My mom sank into a chair. You sold my mother's necklace to pay off gambling debts. I was going to buy it back. Caleb looked up. Once I got ahead, I was going to find it and buy it back. With what money? I asked. You just bought a condo. He didn't answer. My dad stood up and walked over to Caleb. For a second, I thought he was going to hug him, but instead, he just looked at him like he was trying to recognize someone he used to know. Get out, my dad said quietly. Dad, please! Get your things and get out of this house. My dad's voice was steady but cold. I don't want to see you until you figure out how to make this right. How am I supposed to make this right? Caleb's voice cracked. The necklace is gone. I can't get it back. You can start by telling the truth. My mom stood up. Everyone you lied to, everyone who believed you, you tell them what you did. That'll ruin me. You already ruined yourself. She pointed toward the door. Now get out. Caleb looked at me one more time, and I saw something I'd never seen before. Complete defeat. He turned and walked out without another word. The door closed, and the three of us just stood there in silence. My dad was the first to speak. I'm sorry. He looked at me and his eyes were red. I should have believed you. You should have asked. I sat down on the couch. You didn't even give me a chance to explain. I know. He sat down next to me. I don't know how to fix that. You can't. I looked at both of them. Not right away. My mom came over and sat on my other side. We'll tell everyone what really happened. We'll make sure they know you didn't do it. That won't change anything. I leaned back. They'll just think I got away with it or that you're covering for me. Then what do we do? My dad asked. Nothing. I looked at him. You let me live my life and you deal with the fact that you chose him over me. He nodded slowly and my mom started crying again. I want to come home, I said after a moment, but not right now. Not until I'm ready. Whenever you're ready, my mom said, we'll be here. My dad put his hand on my shoulder and we sat there together in the wreckage Caleb had left behind. Within an hour, my mom had called Aunt Renee and Uncle Rich and told them everything. I could hear her voice getting stronger with each call, no longer defensive or apologetic, just stating facts. By evening, she'd called everyone who'd heard Caleb's lies and told them the truth. My phone started buzzing with messages. Apologies from cousins, shocked reactions from relatives who couldn't believe it, even a long text from Aunt Diane saying she should have trusted me. I read them all but didn't respond to most of them. Becca called me around 8. I heard what happened. Are you okay? I don't know yet. I looked around my parents' living room, but at least everyone knows the truth now. You staying there tonight? No, I'm coming back to your place. I stood up and grabbed my keys. I just needed to see this through. My parents walked me to the door. My mom hugged me so tight I almost couldn't breathe, and my dad just kept saying he was sorry. I'll call you tomorrow, I told them. I drove back to Becca's apartment with my phone still buzzing in the cup holder. When I got there, she had wine and takeout waiting on the coffee table. You did it, she said when I walked in. I didn't do anything. I collapsed on the couch. He did it to himself. Still, she poured me a glass. You won. I thought about that. Won. It didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. My mom called the next morning and said Caleb had packed his things and moved out completely. He'd left his key on the kitchen counter and hadn't said goodbye to anyone. My dad left me a voicemail saying they'd canceled the house sale. He said it didn't feel right anymore, starting over somewhere new when they still had so much to fix here. I went back to work the following Monday, and Pat pulled me aside before my shift. I heard what happened with your family, she said. I'm sorry I didn't give you more benefit of the doubt. It's fine. I tied my apron. Everyone believed him. Still, she squeezed my shoulder. If you need time off, let me know. I didn't need time off. I needed normal. I needed to keep moving forward. My phone buzzed during my break. A message from my mom saying she'd put together a family dinner for next week. She said it was just her and my dad. No pressure whenever I was ready. I told her I'd think about it. Becca found me staring at my phone later that night. You going? I don't know. I set the phone down. Part of me wants to. Part of me can't forget what they did. They were wrong, she said. But they're trying. Trying doesn't fix 2 months of hell. No, she sat down next to me. But maybe it's a start. I thought about my grandmother's necklace. About how my mom had promised it would stay in the family. Caleb had taken that promise and turned it into $16,000 and a pile of lies. My parents had taken those lies and used them to throw me out. Some things couldn't be bought back. Some things couldn't be fixed with apologies or family dinners. But maybe some things could be rebuilt. Slowly, carefully, one day at a time. I picked up my phone and texted my mom back. Next Saturday. I'll be there. She responded immediately with 3 heart emojis and a message saying she'd make my favorite meal. I set the phone down and looked at Becca. I'm not forgiving them yet. You don't have to, she smiled. But at least you're trying. And that for now was enough.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop your favorite part in the comments. See you in the next one.